Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Industrial Revolution.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Every working woman with a kid, come on inside to the factory on the river. The boss says to drug her kids, but we really don't wanna.
Girl Scout like the one last week, don't care, cause her weed was cheap.
There's a upper, middle, and working class, and though we both work, my husband gets more cash. So what can I do? I really beg you, my lord. To me, working is just like a chore. Anything will do, job so bad I want to dump it. Please set in the trumpet.
A little bit of textiles in my life.
A little bit spin Jenny by my side.
A little bit of factory is all I need.
Poverty, disease is all I see.
A lot of pressure is what I feel.
My man's in the pub all night long.
A little bit of child labor goes a long way.
So independent, I don't need
no man.
On everyone's favorite time period, the Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution marked the beginning of factory labor, mass production of cheaper identical goods, and women being tied to domestic roles. All types of ideas and inventions were being applied to producing goods. Let's use the example of ants on a log to describe all these ideas. Let's pretend we are in a rural kitchen that just received goods to make this snack. So these workers are part of a putting out system where their employer sends them goods to their house. Then they produce the product and send it back for a wage.
Is this celery grown on small farms in the workers' yards?
No, due to the agricultural revolution, the enclosure movement has occurred, and rich landowners have converted their farms to be commercial. Also, the putting out system eventually converts to large-scale factories that use mass production.
Mass production makes large quantities of identical goods using division of labor into repetitive tasks.
Yes, each of these girls is assigned a task using the concept of division of labor. Wash the celery, cut the celery, put peanut on the celery, and put raisins on the celery.
It's terribly boring. Joshua Wedgwood used this strategy to make large amounts of fine quality pottery.
I agree. Great idea, but terrible for the workers. Now let's say cutting the celery could be done by a really fast steam engine powered machine.
That would be mechanization applied to the process. Mechanization is great because it was faster, less work, and had to be done by hand. And it produced the same product each time using James Watt's improved steam engine was most efficient.
True. His idea for a new condenser that allowed steam to be released made the steam engine more efficient.
Watt's steam engine was later applied to locomotives, which could be used to transport the peanut butter, raisins, and the celery to the factory faster.
Fast forward to 1800 when Alessandro Volta invented the battery. Then the electric telegraph was invented and Morse code could be used to tell factories when shipment would arrive.
Morse code is just a bunch of words, lines and dashes, kind of like emojis.
Okay, no, Haley, these guys weren't like celery shipment at 2 o'clock, winky face.
Okay, whatever. Back to steam engines. What type of fuel was used?
They used coal, which they turned into coke.
Stop, Em. They didn't use cocaine to power steam engines.
Oh, no. Coke is coal without impurities, and puddling removes those impurities.
Wow, that's cool.
It was. Industry was changing, and it was all these new ideas. Lots of cotton and textile inventions led to the Industrial Revolution. American colonies were the Cotton Kingdom.
My bro, Eli Whitney, is a Whitney invented the construct to separate seeds from cotton.
Richard Arkwright invented the water frame, which spun multiple cotton threads at once.
That puts a lot of women who individually spun cotton threads out of business. And textile was the most important industry during this time. Overall, the Industrial Revolution helped the economy expand and become more efficient. I can't even. Can you finish what you're saying so I can go?
Want cheap land and lots of it? Come to Canada and America, where beautiful Indian land can be yours. No need to worry about traveling by canal or buying expensive wood. Take steam engine, ship across the transatlantic and move to Canada, America today.
Do you find yourself fitting in with the new middle class that lives in the newly developed suburbs? Have you been suffering from the terrible effects of the Industrial Revolution?
Yes, 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 yes!
Like living in the rapidly expanding cities that polluted stuff, air pollution from the burning of coal?
Yes, 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 yes!
Railroads bringing in noise and smoke right by your homes, diseases spreading like wildfire? Long, boring, tiring hours at the factory, unfair, dangerous conditions, having to send your children to these awful places to work? Well then, we have the solution for you.
Populations skyrocket as vaccinations are invented and birth rates go up. Unfortunately, due to the large growing population, there are huge food shortages. Also, railroads are being built all over Europe, and many European countries are putting them in cities in their colonies. Lastly, carpenters and metal workers' jobs are in high demand and low supply. Now to Haley with an exclusive interview with philosopher Saint Simon.
Thanks. We are here with philosopher Saint Simon. So Simon, why do you feel as though positivism is better and more efficient than laissez-faire?
Well, I believe that positivism is more effective because I believe that social and economic problems could be solved by the application of the scientific method. This would lead to continuous progress, and pretty much everything I believe in is awesome and right, so...
Alright. And I remember you saying earlier that positivism attracted enthusiastic supporters from bakers and entrepreneurs. Now, why is that?
Oh yes, this was due to positivism providing a rationale for investing in railroads, canals, and other symbols for monetary.
Well, let's talk about laissez-faire. What is laissez-faire?
Well, laissez-faire is an idea that government should refrain from interfering in economic affairs. This was from Adam Smith. He argued that individuals were allowed to seek personal gain. It is and was a ridiculous idea. Like, come on, who comes up with such a stupid idea? I don't think I've ever met someone stupid like, what the f-
Right. I'd like to bring it from like a 10 to like a 3.7. Okay, what about Thomas Malthus and David Ricardo? They don't seem too bad. They intended to explain poverty.
Why, they don't seem too bad. You mean they seem terrible, right? They thought that the population boom was the reason people couldn't get food and wages. Malthus and Ricardo thought later marriage and abstinence would solve poverty. They used some fancy name, natural law, to describe their ideas.
Okay, well, so what about the utopian socialism? Do you agree with the philosopher?
Oh, don't even get me started. That is the dumbest idea I've ever heard of. It is socialism based on a belief that social ownership by the means of production can be achieved by voluntary and peaceful surrender of their holdings by property groups. Like the idiot who came up with this should be executed. Like what the f***? Were these people thinking? But whatever, it is like that, can go away. Peace out,
Okay, well thank you Simone for this helpful information. Now let's go over to Julia and Caroline for a live feed of the right.
Hi, I'm Julia Guzman with Channel 5 News. We come to you now with breaking news. We have received word that through our electric telegraph that an outbreak of protesters are raging on the streets. Caroline is there now with some of the protesters to get the details on what's going on. Here's Caroline with the news.
Thanks, Julia. We're here now with two protesters to interview them on their opinions about the Industrial Revolution, the Factory Act of 1833, and the Mine Act of 1842. So, how do you feel about the ban of children under 9 not allowed to work in factories?
I mean, tell me this. You know, it's a good thing, you know, because all my puppies chilling, been working hard in dirt, in the day, and sticking stuff. That ain't working. Ain't good for them. It ain't Gucci. Alright? It's not Gucci.
Not gonna lie, I feel like it's seriously a bad thing. Like, now that's literally more work for men. Like, seriously? Is that like a joke? Because I don't like work.
This is so grody and like it makes me want to gag. And seriously, what do you even use? Is that a trash bag? I can't even.
It's Versace. My shoes Versace, my dress Versace, my weave Versace.
Literally, that is a trash bag.
Now,
Okay, so you guys have different views, obviously. So if you're for them,
why are you even here?
I'm protesting against the protesters.
Oh my god, literally so stupid. Don't keep going.
Okay. So as you can see, there are two very different opinions here, and it seems as though there are two sides protesting against each other here on the streets. We will be back later with some details on the rest of the protest, and we will see later how people feel about the corn laws that raise tariffs on imported grain, and hopefully some new protesters to interview. Now back to you, Julia.
Thanks, Caroline. That was some interesting and informative news. Now to Megan, who is with two lovely ladies from two different social classes.
Hi, today we have two special guests, Candace Spencer and Hazel Nutt. We will be asking them about their lives during the Industrial Revolution. Lady Candace Spencer is describing her life in the upper class, and Miss Hazel Nutt is here to talk about life in the working class. Hazelnut, you work at a factory?
Yes, that's correct.
Textile manufacturing is a good starting point for women in the working world. What is your typical day like?
Well, I work at a textile factory for about 16 hours a day. I work my butt off. And then at night I'm a prostitute because it pays better.
You little slut. My husband and I support reforms for the negative conditions for working class women. We believe that there is a need to improve women's work conditions.
This period, from 1850 to 1901, was known as the Victorian Age. Men and women were thought to belong in separate spheres. Successful businessmen spent their time at work or relaxing in men's clubs, while women ran the household and spent family money to enhance their household. These new definite roles for women were called the cult of domesticity. What is your most important duty, Candace?
Of course, raising my children. I nurse my babies and shower them with attention. It's the least they deserve.
Did you go to school or university before you got married?
No, before 1924, very few European women went to school to become doctors, lawyers, or professional musicians.
Hazel, what kind of jobs are available for people in the middle class?
There are a few main ways for young women without children to earn money in the working class. Domestic service, factory work, street selling, manual labor, farming, mine work, and prostitution. But we still only earn 1/2 to 1/3 of men's wages.
Even though the pay is lower, it's good that women are going out to the world. If women cannot vote, that would help us reach equality, but men just get universal male suffrage. So it might be a while.
Relax, ladies. These opposing emotion towards women's rights is an example of the middle and upper class division.
You're right. I bet Candace doesn't have to send her kids to work in the factories to make ends meet. Some of my friends even abandoned their kids because they couldn't afford to feed them.
Oh, I didn't know things were that bad. I value every second with my children.
It's okay though, because the middle class really benefited and grew from the Industrial Revolutions. This time was the beginning of job opportunities for women.
This just goes to show that the Industrial Revolution changed everything. That's all we have today.
Acted out as now my what?
It's not your turn. You guys okay? Guys, stop laughing!
So